So I mentioned in another video that I had bought an additional $30,000 worth of Nintendo, and today I bought another 8,000, I believe, and I'll keep buying it. Of course, the day I decide to buy it, it's going up, but I would prefer to buy cheaper. But this is still way below my average price, and I'll tell you why I like it and why I still like it, even though it's down a lot. As I mentioned in the other video, the problem with this is not that they have too much debt and are in danger. The danger with this, or the reason people are slamming it, is that it's sort of undermanaged. So they have no debt, they have a ton of cash on the balance sheet, and the stock was at a very low price, but they only bought back 1% of their shares. And now there's concerns that with the higher chip prices because of AI, data centers buying up all the demand, and Nintendo having to raise the price of the Switch 2. That slammed the stock, so that it was down quite a bit uh, on last week. But let's talk about the bright spots. So this is trading at a 19 PE, which sounds kind of reasonable compared to the S&P 500, but about 20 or 25% of this value of the company is cash. So it's not really a PE of 19. It's probably more like a PE of 16, which is even better, right? If you back out the cash. So you can get the whole company for 51 billion, right? The whole company for 51 billion. 15 of that, as I said, is cash. So 51 minus 15, that gets you to 36 billion, right? So back out the cash, now we're at 36 billion. I mentioned that the ownership of Pokemon is kind of complicated, but they probably own somewhere between 33 and 66%, right? So the ownership of Pokemon is divided among three companies, and Nintendo is one of them. And Nintendo is also part owner of the third one, but it's unclear how much of the third one that they own. But Nintendo also owns the copyrights and the IP on the Pokemon characters. So what does that mean? If you remember when Taylor Swift wanted somebody to sell her the rights to the masters for her early album, and the guy didn't want to sell it. He owned the rights to those recordings, but she owned the IP. So if somebody wanted to sing her song on a TV commercial, they would have to pay her. They wouldn't have to pay him. If he wanted to let somebody use that in a commercial, they would have to pay him and her. And if she didn't agree, he couldn't use that because she owns the right to the music, even though he owns the rights to the recording, right? So he can sell copies of the recording, but if they want to use it in a commercial, they have to clear it with her. And it's the same thing with Pokemon. Each of the companies owns a third. Nintendo is one of the one-third owners of Pokemon, and they also own a bit of the other owner that owns a third. But Nintendo owns the intellectual property for the Pokemon characters. So even if you own one third and the other guy owns another third, and they wanted to put it in some movie, unless they got Nintendo's approval, they couldn't do anything with it because Nintendo, even though they own somewhere between one third and 66% of the revenue from that, they own 100% of the IP, so you couldn't do anything without checking with them, in the same way that the Taylor Swift Scooter Braun situation, right? So they own a third of that. Well, how much is that worth? So here's the highest grossing media franchises in the world, and you'll recognize some of the Disney ones. Disney, Marvel, right? Star Wars, Mickey Mouse, those are all Disney. Winnie the Pooh. And Sanrio, a company you probably never heard of, owns Hello Kitty, which I was surprised to learn is the second most valuable one. And if you compare Hello Kitty to Pokemon, it's about 3 times the size, and Pokemon owns more than a third of this. And Hello Kitty's worth about 9 billion, let's say. Now here's a 30-page investor presentation about how much the Pokemon company is worth. And this was put together by an investor that I know. And how many pages is this? Yeah, it's 30 pages, and I won't show all of it because it's his work product, and he sent it to me, not to you. But I will take you to the too long didn't read version. And how much is Pokemon worth? So according to his calculations, The too long didn't read version, according to his calculations, the lowest it's worth is somewhere between 15 and 25 billion, and the most it could be worth is 80 to 110 billion. And I believe Nintendo, the whole thing is worth 100 billion, so their one-third stake in the bull case could be worth more than the entire value of Nintendo, according to him. But if we stick to the low end, 15 to 25 billion. I thought it was 18 billion. Okay, let's say it's 15, right? 15 billion. We've got 15 billion for the cash. That's 30 billion. So if you deduct 30 billion, right? 15 billion, which is the lowest of the low estimate for Pokemon. 15 billion for the cash. That's 30. So now you got 21 billion for the whole company, right? And even though they have this issue where they have to raise the price on future switches because of the cost of the computer chips, all the past switches were sold. That price increase does not affect them, and when they sell software for it, that software does not have computer chips in it, right? So that won't affect the prices, and those past consumers will buy the software, and you still have the intellectual property. You've got 6 theme parks being built where Nintendo doesn't pay any of the money and they get a percentage of the gate. You have that Mario Brothers movie, which people said would not do well, but now it's breaking all kinds of office records, box office records. So that should help software sales. That should help theme park sales. That should help merchandise sales. There is another Mario movie coming out in 2027, and there's also a live action Legend of Zelda coming out, which should help video game sales, should help theme park sales, should help merchandise sales, and Pokemon movies come out all the time, and that helps them as well. So there's a lot to like about this company. The complaint about them isn't that they're in trouble because they have too much debt. The complaint is that it's just the opposite, that it's undermanaged. So they have no debt, they have a ton of cash, and now that the price is the lowest that it's been in a few years, rather than buy back the stock with both hands, they bought back, I think, 1% of the shares. So the complaint is that they think they should be more active and doing more with the company. But if you're thinking of where can I make the most money? You would look at certain stocks, and you might make a lot, or it could go to zero. And if you think about, well, where could I lose the money? Peter Lynch said it's pretty hard to go broke if you don't owe anyone any money. And not only does Nintendo not owe anyone any money, but they have 25% of their market capital in cash. So in terms of what can go wrong, if you are concerned about the economy and things going bad, this company has been around since the 1800s, and that's why it's run so conservatively. And a year ago you could have bought it at 25, now you're getting it at 11. So even though I bought a little early, I'm buying like another 8,000 today, and if it's still down, I might buy some more tomorrow. And I may put a link in the description, but what I'm going to do is use a different broker because with my broker, I had been recommending Robinhood, which if you're just going to buy on margin, I think it's like 4.5 or 5%, which is a little bit lower than the next lowest one, which would be Interactive Brokers. But something I can do on Interactive Brokers that I can't do with Merrill Lynch or Schwab or Robinhood, the other places I have brokerages, is that on Interactive Brokers, I can borrow in Japanese yen, and it's cheaper to borrow in yen than it is in dollars. So while Robinhood is charging me, 5%, I can borrow in Japanese yen on Interactive Brokers at 1.5%. So why is that relevant? Well, if I borrow at 6% or 5%, Bob is ridiculous. It's like 12%. But if I can borrow at 5% on Robinhood and buy Nintendo, that's okay. But if I can borrow 1.5% in Japanese yen at Interactive Brokers, and instead of buying the US shares, if I can buy the actual Japanese shares, I would be borrowing at 1.5%, and I'm getting a 2% dividend. So it literally costs me nothing, right? Because I'm borrowing at 1.5%, and I'm getting the dividend at 2% from Nintendo, so I can use that to pay the margin, so it's not costing me anything. So I am going to move some money over from Robinhood or Merrill directly into Interactive Brokers, and I'm going to do this trick where I'm going to borrow in Japanese yen and buy the Japanese shares instead of the US listed shares. And then instead of costing me 5% at Robinhood or 13% at Schwab, it'll cost me 0%. And because I think this will come back, I'm okay with that. I wouldn't do this for many other stocks, but I do have long-term faith in this, and this is a way for me to borrow on it free. And not saying that this is what you should do. I'm just saying that this is what I am doing. But I will put a link to Interactive Brokers, and if you want to sign up with them, I think they'll give me a commission on that. And as I said in other videos, this isn't a recommendation to buy or sell. This is just me walking through what I'm doing in real time, so that I keep a contemporaneous record of what I'm doing and my thoughts on it, so that I don't, after the fact, rewrite the story or fall to thesis trip. So if you have any questions on Nintendo, leave them in the comments. You think me buying more is a good idea? I think it's dumb. Moving money from my regular brokers to Interactive Brokers, what do you think of that? I think if I buy there and I hold it for 30 days, I can sell my higher cost shares and I can get the tax deduction and still have the position. So that's my thinking on that. But anyway, let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe. Have a great day, everyone.